best. I'm gonna spread her tail out. And again, it depends on what type of breed you have. If you've got silkies, you're gonna want to make them look full and round, and it just learn your breed standard and how you should make the bird look. As soon as I get her to look the way I want her to, I put my hands behind my back to show the judge that I have complete confidence in that bird. I've worked with that bird, I've trained that bird, and I'm not afraid it's going to go anywhere. Okay? We'll get to the examination steps. Okay, the examination steps for the most part are the same thing, same movements you are going to be using at home when you are picking your birds for show, picking your birds for breeding. The first step is the head. One of the things that I mentioned to a couple of the classes is, I don't know if it's been taught that way here for a while or what, but I see a lot of people doing this. Okay? I doubt anybody's doing this at home when they're examining the heads of their birds. Are you guys lifting your birds up to your head to look at the head? I don't think so.
Yeah, we do.
Also, I saw a couple birds flapping and get away when they were up here. You're going to want to hold it at just under eye level, and as long as I've got her like this, I'm examining this side, and the judge can see this side on everything I do. So I'm going to look at the comb, and it's also not a look, it's an examine. I could just hold her here and go, here's the head, here's the head. But what I should be doing is saying, this is the head, and I know what I'm looking at. I know what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the comb. I'm looking for it to have the proper type of comb. I'm looking for it to have the right amount of tips. I'm looking for it to be straight. And look, using your fingers, you're looking for one of the DQs, a sprig on the single comb that sticks out of the side. A lot of times you can't even, it's so small you can't see it, but if you feel, you can feel a sprig sticking out. You want to look and see if the eyes are clear. You want to see if you want to examine the wattles. The nasal, the neck side. I'm going to examine this side now. The nasal, the eyes, the comb, the wattles, the earlobes. So, and I've always got the bird right about here, and the judge can see it, and I can see it. Next is the wings. If I tilt the bird down just a little bit, I can see the top of the wing, you can see the top of the wing. And all I'm doing is putting what I call their elbow. There's a little spot here. If I stick my finger there, pull out, it automatically spreads that wing out. I can look at the top of it, then I can look at the underneath part of it. I don't care if an exhibitor changes hands to look at this side of the wing, that's fine. I don't take any points out. The proper way that's described in the 4-H manual is to go across the back of the head. If you go under the head, they can flop up and try to get away. You go across the back of the head, spread the wing. I can see it, the judge can see it. I can see under there, the judge can see under there.
Even Christina didn't teach us that.
Next is the undercolor. And what we're looking for is there's several breeds. Buckeye is one of them. The Buckeye, you want to look at the undercolor because it should have a slate gray stripe in there. Barred breeds, you want to look at the undercolor because they should be barred all the way down to the skin. There's a purpose for looking at it. You don't, when the judge asks you to examine the undercolor, you don't want to do that because I didn't see anything. You want to actually examine the undercolor. The width of back. I see a lot of kids that stick their fingers here in the back and just hold them there, right behind the wings. That's not the widest part of that back. If I drag my fingers down its back, I'm going to come to the widest part. I'm going to keep my fingers at that width, and I'm going to show it to the judge. Okay? So it's not just sticking your fingers down there. It's dragging it down the bird to find, you're looking for the widest point, because most birds in the description says moderately wide or really wide. So you need to know how wide the back is. So I'm going to show that. Next is the breast. Now I see a lot of people hold the bird like this, hold the bird like that. That breast is, my arm's in the way. I can't feel that breast. I can't do a proper examination on that breast. And I also saw some of the big birds, the little kids had a hard time holding them that way, and they'd flop over the side and start flopping. We just got done doing the width of back, so we've got the bird like this. If I just lay my thumb on the back of her head and roll her gently onto my stomach, I've got full access to that breast right there. There's no legs in my way, there's no arms in my way. I can show the judge that the breastbone is straight, which we're looking at, and I can show the judge how long that breastbone is. The longer the breastbone, the longer the back. So many breeds that say medium short back or medium length back, you can actually feel the breastbone. If you've got a really long breastbone, you're going to have a really long back. I'm going to support the bird, bring her back up, then I'm ready for the next step, which is the vent. A lot of kids just raise the tail up and say, there's the vent. Well, the reason we're checking the vent is checking for external parasites, mites and lice. That's the two places that they're going to hide the most is near the vent and under the wings and on crested birds near the head. They like warm areas, and those are the warmest areas they can get. So if you actually take and lift its feathers up with the finger and lift those, split your fingers apart, you can expose that vent and you can see it and the judge can see it. The next step, and this was the tricky one for almost everyone today, I saw 2 or 3 people do it correctly, is the depth of abdomen. Now the abdomen on a bird is not here. That's the breast and the back and the wings. The abdomen on the bird is back here. It's where the eggs are stored for a female, and on the male it counts as breeding for females that have good depth of abdomen. The depth of abdomen is how many fingers you can fit between the pubic bones, which are the 2 pointy bones on either side of the vent, and the end of that breastbone sideways. So I can get 2.5, so I'll hold 3 fingers up and show the judge that the depth of my abdomen on my bird is this wide. Okay? So it's not, this is more of the depth of body type thing. The depth of abdomen is back here. So I want you guys to remember that, because that's what I saw 90% of the kids today check that area. The next is the width of pubic bones. We've mentioned those are the 2 pointy bones on either side of the vent. You want to see how wide those are apart. That's important because it allows an easy egg passage for the female. So you want a wider vent or wider pubic bones for easier passage of an egg. On males, that just goes into the genetics for their females. I can get about 1.5 fingers in between those pubic bones, so I'll probably bring up 2 fingers and show the judge. Okay, legs and feet are the next one. You've already got the bird facing this way, because you're going to want to check back and front of the legs. So I saw a lot of kids today just looking at the front of them, and they weren't really checking them. What we're checking for is smooth scales. Do they have scaly legs? We're also checking for color in between the toes, cleanliness in between the toes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take each leg on the back side, because I've already got the bird facing me. I'm going to spread the toes. I'm going to feel the legs on a feather leg bird. I'm going to examine the feathers, make sure that they're not broken and damaged. Same with this leg. Then I'm just going to gently roll the bird back over and do the same thing with the front. Run my thumb down the leg, make sure they're smooth. Look at the color, look at the toenails. And that's your examination. Okay? So learn those steps and learn when you're showing that you're actually examining your bird. You're not just showing the bird. A lot of the kids today, what I got the impression was, see, I know where the head is. I know where the wings are. I know where the vent is. This is an examination. This is more, I know what I'm looking for. I know what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the vent because. Now I'm a silent judge. Most judges are silent, but some of them will have you explain what you're doing while you're doing it. And that's a good way to practice, because then if you come on a judge that wants you to do that, you're ready for it. And you're also telling yourself why you're looking at stuff. Okay? Caging. As I mentioned, I did not penalize the kids that had trouble opening the cages, because that's a strength thing, and But for most of them, if you take your thumb right here, I saw a lot of them trying to do this. I saw a lot of them trying to do that. Just on this type of cage, take your thumb, place it on that wire, your fingers pull that wire, and it comes right open. It's really not hard. The way you were trying to open it made it harder. So I would even practice opening the cage for showmanship. That's all it is. It's just thumb against there, fingers against there, and it pops right open. I was explaining to some of the kids that you do not want to put your bird in backwards. If you put your bird in backwards, and while you're putting it in, it happens to flap, your wing comes open, you go against that wire, what happens to your wing? It's frayed up. The months that you just spent taking care of this bird, getting it into condition, is all gone in 2 seconds. If you put it in head first, if she flaps and that wing comes out, it rubs right against that wire, no problem. Because it's rubbing with the grain of the feather. I also don't like to see kids try to do this because you can end up turning it and getting the tail caught this way. If you just walk up to the cage, grab it like this, put it in, you can't help but put it in head first. Put it in, fix it up a little bit. It's kind of like when you're caging your bird. It's like putting your bird in the cage back there and the judge is just about to look at that bird. Okay, you want to make that bird look as good as you can in 3 to 5 seconds. You don't want to spend a lot of time. So I'll just touch your tail a little bit, kind of get her up. Make sure you lock that door when you're done. Hands behind your waist, acknowledge the judge. The judge will acknowledge you and then you can get it out. I had one exhibitor today. That came up, put the bird in, did that, got the bird out. I wasn't ready for him to do that. They didn't make no eye contact with me. So head in, a little bit of a pose, don't spend a lot of time, but a little bit of a pose. Head out. Shut and lock the door. Okay, so that is pretty much all of showing a bird until you get to the questions at the end. And the questions at the end, the kids found out today, can be anything from what's your breed, and we had a lot of this today with kids, with parents and leaders. Remember, teach the difference between the breed and the variety. I would ask, what breed is this bird? And I would be told, it's a millefleur d'Uccle. And I'd say, then what variety is it? What breed is it? It's a d'Uccle. What variety is it? It's a millefleur. What variety is it? It's a speckled. What breed is it? It's a Sussex. So know the difference, teach the difference to your kids about breed and variety. You know, also we have Leghorns here. Remember, Leghorns, Minorcas, Rhode Island Reds, their variety could also be a comb. It could be a single comb Rhode Island Red or a rose comb Rhode Island Red. Same thing with Leghorns. That's about it. Any questions? Any of the kids have any questions from the competition today?